Bashara, and I was born in 1997 from Wangyo City in Zhejiang Province, China. I was adopted in 1999 by my parents, Jane Bashara and Fred Bashara. Due to the one-child policy, I was given up at day one and in an orphanage until 2.5. I'm taking a 3-week trip to China with my mom, and I'm super excited. We are flying into Beijing and then going to take a bullet train to Xi'an, Chengdu, Hangzhou, Wangyo, and then we will end our trip in Shanghai. This experience is definitely feeling bittersweet going into it, especially because my dad, who no longer is with us, will not be there. I am super excited to just spend some quality time with my mom. After visiting the major tourist areas, we will end the trip in Wangyo, which is my hometown, and a lot is unknown going into that trip. We are meeting with the orphanage director as well as potentially meeting my foster mom, which is actually kind of like a secret because they keep it separate, the orphanage, and then like seeing and visiting the foster parents. I do have a potential to find some relatives. I am going to the local police precinct to get a DNA test.
So what's the purpose of your trip to China?
The purpose for this trip specifically is just to connect to my roots. I feel like growing up there's a bit of a disconnect and estrangement to my identity as Chinese. I am Asian American, but I've always leaned more into my American side, especially just being surrounded by majority white people. Growing up and realizing that it's okay to be, proud of being Chinese, so I really want to connect to that. I just want to immerse myself in just the language, the food, the culture, just try to feel some more connection to people who look like me. Another thing that I want to do on this trip is just potentially find some information and answers about my ancestry. With going to my hometown, I think there is a possibility of finding some relatives, maybe a sibling or a parent. Not that I'm putting a lot of pressure on that, but I am very curious to see if there's another connection out there for me.
What are you expecting to find in your hometown at the orphanage?
I'm not really expecting anything. I'm trying to go into this trip with low expectations so I don't get disappointed. If nothing is found, I would be disappointed, but I think it would be special no matter what. And if we do find someone, then I will follow through on that lead and explore what there is there.
Do you think there might be any files related to your adoption?
Yeah, I think the orphanage director, if he or she is open to, seeing my mother and I, that we could find some truth. In the past, I've heard with other adoptees who go back that it's not always forthcoming with the information. So I do hope that we present well where they are willing to show us some truth in the files.
Are you nervous about going back to China as an adult?
Yes, more so. I think I'll feel the nerves when I go into the hometown, just emotionally. It could bring up some just like past trauma and emotional feelings about just being there, since I haven't been back to that specific area since my adoption. But overall, I wouldn't say too nervous. I'm just more excited to explore and see the scenery and enjoy the culture and food.
How do you think this trip will impact you?
I think it'll be very meaningful and impactful in my life. Going with my mom will be super special, time to bond together, so that will bring our relationship closer, as well as just, feeling more like in my Chinese self, being connected to that. I think that'll just open up a lot of possibilities and opportunities in my life.
Is there anything that you want to say to conclude?
I just want to say that I am excited and I feel very supported by my friends and my family, because this is truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and trip. And
Hi, I'm Jane Bashara. I'm going with my daughter Annie to China, and we are both so excited about it. I'm particularly excited to be going back to China since I studied Chinese, and I went to China and worked there for a few years, and really love China. But when we adopted Annie, it wasn't because I loved China. It had a completely different source. We wanted to have a child, and we tried so many other things. It took 8 years from the time we started looking into adoption to the day that we adopted Annie. And nothing else worked out. So we ended up with an agency out of Boston, a lawyer who had 2 adopted Chinese children, and she made it work. And we got to adopt Annie. Now, Annie's all grown up. It's 27 years later, and we are going back on a heritage adoption tour to visit her home birth town. Also do a tour of China and see some of the famous sites: Beijing, the Forbidden City, the Terracotta Warriors. We're going to Guilin to see the beautiful mountains and waters, and Chengdu in Sichuan to eat Sichuanese food and see the pandas. So it'll be great, and then we'll end up in the province of Zhejiang, where she was born.
How do you feel about returning to China with your adult daughter?
Oh, I love it. I mean, I love that she's all grown up and doing well, and we can travel together and have a good time. And I think it'll be a wonderful experience to not only have fun and be tourists and just love doing that, but also go to her hometown, which is a much more emotional and personal voyage, really, to see where she came from, to see how she feels about it, maybe find some people who are related to her. We don't know. Or if we don't find anything that particular, we'll just have a good time looking at the scenery and seeing where she came from. What are the people like? What is the landscape like?
Are you nervous about the hometown visit?
A little bit, yeah. I already told her she can't get rid of me. No matter who she finds there, she's not going to be able to get rid of me. So, yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about that, but I think it'll all work out. And we have a good relationship now. We talk, and if we have any problems, so to speak, any misunderstandings, we'll talk it out. We'll make it work.
How does this trip to China compare to the adoption trip to get Annie?
Well, it's so different. One thing, I'm a different age. The most obvious thing is my husband has passed away now, so he's not with me. And then the other obvious thing is Annie is here with me. So when he and I went to China, it was his first trip to China, and neither of us knew what was going to happen exactly. And we had never met this little girl. We'd only seen a little girl photo, very cute, but we were pretty nervous. Well, let me tell you, we didn't know what was going to happen to us. So, yeah, this is entirely different. This is going back in time to do something and look at something that is really significant. And that was going forward into uncharted territory. We did not know how it was all going to work.
How do you think this experience will affect yours and Annie's future and relationship with each other?
Well, as I just said, I think we'll talk it out. I think that it will be good for us, and we'll be able to share her learning about her own background and experiencing walking into a place where she has been before but has no memory of. And I think it's going to be really significant. And I'm honored to be part of it.
My baby. That's my baby girl. Come sit on my lap.
Where'd you come with me?
Oh, no.
Okay, this is us before our China trip. We leave tomorrow on a 12-hour flight.
20.
20-hour flight.
Well, the first flight is 14 hours, and by the time we get there, it'll be 20.
Okay, 20 hours. Today is our last day with Lotus Tours. How are you feeling about it?
I'm Nora. I was adopted from Chongqing when I was 2 years old. I'm now 19. I really loved this tour because I got to be with and surround myself with people who have similar experiences as me, which I don't get so much back at home. And it's a little bittersweet because I am kind of excited to like not have to be socializing every second, but it's also like I really like the group. Everyone here is so nice, and it was really fun. Hi, my name is Liana. I'm originally from Chengde, Hunan Province. I was adopted at around 17 months old, and right now I'm 22. I've been really enjoying the trip. I feel really good about coming back here, and especially being in a group with a bunch of other adoptees, it feels very like home, very familiar, and like a place where I finally belong.
My name is Savannah. I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina. I was 9 months old when I was adopted, and now I'm 19. So today is our last day as a group, and also my family's last day here in China. So it's crazy that we're leaving tomorrow. It went by really, really fast. I'm feeling really grateful, and maybe like a little sad about it, but not really, because I know that I want to come back here sometime. And it was really awesome, like chatting with other adoptees and hearing their parents' stories, and also seeing more of like China and where I was from, and like the natural beauty and the people, which I really liked. And yes, so I definitely want to come back. It was an awesome being here. And what else? Yeah, I'm feeling really grateful that I got to see it.
Alright, help yourself. I'm there.
Okay, wait.
Here comes first dish.
Today is June 4th, and we headed to Longyo City, which is my hometown. And going into this visit, we had gotten some news at the very beginning of our China trip that my orphanage was torn down and rebuilt somewhere else. And then also told that there was no way of finding my foster mom or the old orphanage director. So just going into this, we were like, okay, well, maybe we can see about visiting the new orphanage. So that's what our expectations were today. And we met with the orphanage director and her assistant, and they sat us down at a big table and pulled out my file, which amazingly had the same pictures that my mom had brought with us, to show that it was me. So that was kind of cool to see that they still had saved my pictures. About anything new that we didn't know, and there wasn't much new information, but we let them know that we had asked about my foster mom and that there's no way of contacting her, so we were told. But the assistant actually knew someone who worked there who thought would know her, so amazingly enough, we got connected with her, and like an hour later had lunch with her in the hotel. They had a driver bring her, and we got to have this beautiful conversation and lunch together, and we took lots of pictures, and it was just really cool to see someone who I knew had taken care of me. And the new information we found was that she took care of me from as soon as I got into the orphanage. So she used to be an accountant there, but then with the influx of babies coming in, they needed help. So she stepped away from that to solely take care of me up until the day that I was adopted. So that was really fun information to find out. After lunch, we took a lot of pictures, and then we had a very sweet goodbye, which was very heartwarming. And I think she looked a little sad to say goodbye, but I think she was happy to see me. After we said our goodbyes, we went to the Bureau of Civic Affairs, which was my finding site, And we actually ended up going inside and chatting with someone about it and just getting the clear truth on that definitely was my finding site. So after that, we went and they let us to go to the police station to try to get a DNA test, but they ended up telling us that we needed to go to the Bureau of Security, the forensics unit, to get a DNA test there since they were more qualified to do that, where they will plug it into a massive database across the whole country and could potentially find some relatives.
Yeah, we go there. This 哎，我想问一下，你们现在是健康路几号啊？哦，OK OK， 那有个健康路3号的。这个3号在你们隔壁啊？
After the DNA test, we drove back to look at the old orphanage location, which we are told was torn down, but come to find out it was the same building and they had changed the address. So we went on this wild goose chase following these our tour guide and some like Asian aunties who are like, I will help you, and we're like yelling in the streets. Well, my tour guide is yelling in the streets to help find the orphanage, and the orphanage like director and everyone's just like in it now, and we're strolling down some back alleys following these people who are like, I know where to go, and then someone like didn't know, but then our driver actually chatted with someone and he's like, come with me, we found someone who knows something who knows someone else. So following through this back alley, we find the old orphanage director who took care of me, and we showed him a picture of my foster mom who he recognized. So that was a really cool experience to also see him as well as my foster mom today. Okay, that was the end of the story, and then we left. We time traveled. We relived June 9th and now we're June 10th. We are back from China, and I just want to see, like, how are you feeling? What was your experience during the trip?
Okay. Well, I loved our trip together. It was marvelous and everything I had hoped it would be. So how often do we get to actually have that happen? So it was a wonderful thing. And several things I loved about it. Just the basic level, I loved seeing modern China. I was last there about 15 years ago, and it's grown tremendously since then. Their infrastructure and their buildings are amazing. They have bullet trains, they have modern highways. That type of infrastructure is better than the United States, which was so amazing to see. They have modern skyscrapers built. It's just unusual and exceptional design, and it was just so interesting. But I also just loved all the old China things, the little shops, the little restaurants, the little noodle places, and walking around and hanging out. so much of love avoiding motorcycles, but I remember that
And then
as
zooming by.
yeah, and zooming by, bicycles and people walking like seemingly randomly and magically escaping from being crushed to death by roaring motorcycles. So that was fun. We obviously escaped too.
The collective, just not wanting to get hit and not wanting to hit anyone.
Yeah, exactly. It was a collective kind of a dance that everybody does to avoid one another. And I did really love the Chinese people, the culture there, the friendly people. Everybody is pretty interested and friendly and involved.
Yeah.
Most people are really bright, really with it, and they are into it. They are into other people, into the food, into their work. They're just going all the time. There is no privacy in China, as I've experienced previously. They'll just ask you any old thing about yourself, how much money you make, how old you are, what you do, and that's just the norm because everybody's interested in everybody. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I mean, I agree on everything you said. I loved seeing the difference of how modern everything was while also seeing all the old ancient cities and towns and how it kind of merged together where we could be in a big city where there's this ancient building that's been there for like years and years, and then right next to this ginormous skyscraper. So I thought that was really cool to see the merge of both coming to life.
Yeah, and you're reminding me of the cities of the parks. The parks are great. They're big. Everybody's out there exercising together, or playing a game of table tennis or chess, or walking, or just looking at the flowers. It's really awesome. And then on the most personal level, this was such an important and wonderful trip, and I was so happy to be with you and experiencing your journey back to your hometown and seeing where you came from and talking to your foster mom and kind of, what I'm thinking is kind of like a high five experience with her for me, to just really smile together and say, here's this grown woman, and she and I were very much involved with raising you, and it brings tears to my eyes to think about it. But it was just wonderful. And the town itself is what is considered a small town. It only has 500,000 people. Right? This is seriously the way they think of it. And it's cleaned up and pretty. It has flower boxes all along the main highways and built up like the big cities. It's got a big conference center, big hotels. It's got small shops and people running around, on all their motorcycle private business. And it was just a really special experience for me. I don't know, we got to see the finding site where the people found Annie when she was a tiny baby. And of course I had never had anything to do with that. So that was really a focused experience for me too. And to see the orphanage buildings and the community that was all very much interested in Annie and where she came from and what she's doing now.
It's been 3 weeks since I've returned from China, and in that time I've been just reflecting on that whole experience. It was very connecting being in China, just connecting to the culture, the food, the people, just taking it all in. I absolutely loved it. It's been a bit sad being back. I feel like my feelings around adoption have caused me to feel a lot of emotions around the whole experience of being back in China, but also just feeling that I've missed out on so much because I was adopted. So it was amazing to be able to go back as an adult, but also made me feel sad when I came back to the States because I just didn't want to leave. I told my friends and everyone was just like asking me about the trip, and for the most part I just kept saying I miss it and I didn't want to leave. Part of that's just the disconnection of being back in the States because I was so connected in China. But part of all of that, I'm working on finding the balance of, accepting that I'm both American and Chinese and really finding that balance of it. Because when I was on my way back to the States, I was feeling like I wanted to reject everything American because I just loved China so much and really connecting to my roots. But the reality is that I am Chinese and American, so I really need to work on that feeling. While I have been back in the States, I've been staying in contact with a few of my tour guides as well as my foster mom, and that in itself has caused me to have several emotions around it. I'm very excited to have someone that I can stay in contact with who I know loves me and is proud of who I've become. She tells me she is my Chinese mom, and that is very cute that she feels that way because I guess she really is my Chinese mom. She watched me from the moment I got into the orphanage until I was adopted. So all those years as a baby. But I do feel sadness around it when she does message me because there's so much disconnect, especially with the language barrier, as well as just the distance that we have from the States to China. She told me that she wants me to come back to China, and I really want to. Of course, it's a lot of time and money, so lots to figure out on how I can make it back. But I do know I want to go back to China and spend as much time as I can there. It really felt like not really just a trip, but a going home. So it didn't feel distant to me when I arrived there. It felt like a place I could call home in my heart. So it's just been very bittersweet with all of that. With all of that being said, although there's been a lot of sadness about leaving a place that feels like home, I have felt so much joy around this opportunity to just reconnect to my roots, immerse myself in Chinese culture, my culture, and just spend some quality time with my mom and go back to where it all began.